This is no ordinary laptop. It's not even an ordinary dual screen laptop. The Lenovo ThinkBook Plus Gen 3 is an unusual form factor laptop with a 17-inch ultrawide main display and an 8-inch secondary display off to the right side of the keyboard. Now, ultrawide laptops aren't anything new. Acer came out with this behemoth of a gaming laptop in 2017 featuring a 21-inch 21:9 curved display. However, the $9,000 price point and 19-pound weight of the Acer 21X may have turned away some buyers. But the Lenovo ThinkBook Plus Gen 3 isn't some gimmick gaming product like the 21X. It actually makes a lot of sense for professionals, students, and creators alike. And Lenovo could have just stopped with the 3K 120Hz ultra-wide display that gives a lot of extra screen real estate to users. But instead they took it one step further by including even more screen real estate with that secondary 8-inch display. We'll get into the full functionality of that secondary display in a bit, but let's first talk about what's on the inside of this ThinkBook Plus Gen 3. So this particular model is spec'd with an Intel Core i5-12500H processor with 4 performance cores and 8 efficiency cores, giving you a total of 16 threads. Now, there's no dedicated GPU, but you do get integrated Intel Iris Xe graphics on board the i5, and we also get 16 gigabytes of soldered-on 4800 MHz LPDDR5 memory and a 512 gigabyte PCIe Gen 4 M.2 SSD. In terms of performance, we're not looking at anything crazy with this particular model, but you can spec the ThinkBook Plus with up to a Core i7-12700H and 32 gigabytes of memory. Now, Lenovo didn't go crazy with the performance on this device, and they did sacrifice temperatures to keep the noise under control. So when it comes to our i5, we're looking at an average Cinebench R23 score of right around 11,300, which is definitely on the lower end compared to other devices with this chip. And during testing, we almost immediately saw temps hit 97 degrees Celsius on the CPU, almost instantly reducing our clock speeds from the max 4.5 gigahertz turbo clock to right around 3 gigahertz on average. So performance could be improved, but sacrifices were made to keep the 17-inch laptop both thin and light while also keeping the noise levels under control. From a footprint perspective, the ThinkBook Plus is pretty much an elongated 13-inch laptop, with Lenovo adding an extra 4 inches to the typical length. So you might need a new backpack or carrying case in order to carry this thing around. And when it comes to the overall weight and dimensions of this device, we're looking at only 4.4 pounds or exactly 2 kilograms, with an overall thickness of just 18 millimeters. That's pretty light thanks to the all aluminum design, and it's pretty thin when you consider the fact that there's 2 screens on this laptop and one of them is 17 inches. Compared to something like the Dell XPS 17 or the HP Envy 17-inch, the Lenovo comes in 1 to 1.5 pounds lighter and almost 2 millimeters thinner. Lenovo was able to save some weight and thickness by going with a smaller 70 watt-hour battery and a slimmed-down cooling setup, which utilizes fewer heat pipes and smaller heat sinks compared to other competitor laptops. This means not great battery life at around 6 to 7 hours of video playback time based on my testing, and temperatures in the high 90s like we saw while testing our CPU. You do get a 100-watt USB-C charging brick capable of Lenovo's Rapid Charge Pro technology, allowing you to charge up to 50% in just 30 minutes. So battery life might not be too big of a concern based on those charge times. Lenovo continues the interesting layout decisions with the port selection and port placement on the ThinkBook Plus. So we get one USB Type-C Gen 3.2 port on the left side of the device, along with a headphone microphone combo jack. And on the back of the device, we get an HDMI, 2 USB-A 3.2 Gen 1 ports, and 1 Thunderbolt 4 port. You can charge the device over either the Type-C or Thunderbolt port for ease of access. And the placement of the rear ports does help keep cords and dongles out of the way, but it's a bit annoying always having to bend down the screen in order to reach them. Overall, the port selection is pretty good, and I'd say you're really only missing an Ethernet port, but you can always take advantage of the 40 gigabit per second Thunderbolt 4 port and use a dock to expand the ports to include anything you could possibly need. Lenovo also included Wi-Fi 6E on board for super fast wireless connectivity, a fingerprint reader inside the power button for extra security, and a dedicated stylus integrated into the chassis to take full advantage of that secondary touchscreen display. We also get a full HD 1080p onboard webcam, along with dual microphone array that takes advantage of AI-based noise canceling for a premium video conferencing experience that a lot of professionals would expect out of a device like this. And just to put that 1080p webcam and dual mic array to the test, here is a quick demo on the ThinkBook Plus Gen 3. Overall, it looks and sounds pretty good for your video conferencing setup. We also get stereo speaker setup with dual 2-watt downward firing speakers powered by Harman Kardon with Dolby Atmos support. It's not the best sounding speaker setup I've ever heard on a laptop, but they're good enough for the majority of situations. The keyboard and trackpad are also extremely good, with key travel being very impressive for this thin of a device, while the trackpad manages to be both large and super precise. So overall, it is a super clean design with this ThinkBook Plus. But now it's time to talk about the dual displays. So first off, we have the 17-inch 21x10 IPS 3K display that manages to output a maximum brightness of 400 nits at 1500:1 contrast ratio. It's also extremely color accurate with 99% DCI-P3 color coverage, and it's also extremely smooth with that 120 Hz refresh rate. You can of course turn that down to 60 Hz in order to save some battery life, but with all those features and the wider aspect ratio, this main display is one of the best when it comes to multitasking, video and photo editing, and pretty much anything else. The secondary 8-inch display is an 800 by 1280 IPS display, coming in at 350 nits and a 1000:1 contrast ratio. It only manages 60% NTSC color coverage and a 60 Hz refresh rate. So although the main display of the device is a lot better, you can quickly tell how unbalanced the screens are, and the lack of exact brightness and color coordination between the displays can be a bit concerning or just like off-putting. That's especially the case if you're using the secondary display for finer color and image adjustments using the stylus and applications like Photoshop. And the placement of the secondary display is a bit awkward, but once you do get used to the location, it's very easy to start making use of it in a variety of situations. Outside of the screens not sharing the exact specs, Lenovo has done a fantastic job integrating the secondary display into the software experience of Windows 11. By default, the secondary display uses a separate toolbar than the main Windows 11 taskbar, and allows for easy access to your numpad and extra function commands, a whiteboard setup to draw and take notes with the stylus, as well as simple commands to duplicate either one of the displays onto the other. This means you can bring up a whiteboard to take some notes or jot down a quick idea during a meeting, and even share in real time what you're doing on the secondary display by mirroring it onto the main display and sharing your screen over HDMI or over a video call. You already have insane multitasking capabilities with the ultrawide main display, but you can take it a step further by using the secondary display to maybe store your thumbnails in an application like Photoshop, maybe your effects panel in an application like Premiere Pro, or even just extending a spreadsheet between both displays using Lenovo's waterfall feature. The window snapping on this device has been adjusted to make complete use of all of the display real estate, and it's really intuitive the way it's been set up. There's even predefined automated uses for the secondary display in applications like Photoshop and Premiere that allow you to launch a customized control panel to take full advantage of that secondary display. But you can also shift your effects panel to the secondary display to extend your timeline on the main one, or use the stylus on the zoomed in portion of a Photoshop project to make some finer adjustments to your image. There are still some small issues with the predefined control panels, like when you make adjustments to the brush size or layer opacity in Photoshop, it shifts the cursor from the main display to the secondary one, so you can't actually see the size of the brush that you're adjusting. You can see the size value changing in the toolbar, but the actual brush shifts off screen. It's a minor complaint, but a bit of an annoyance, and that's kind of the common theme with this device. There are some small annoyances here or there, not great battery life, some weird functions with the secondary display, but overall, the secondary display, along with the wider normal main display, make for a really compelling offer for professionals and creators alike. But I would love to hear what you guys think of this interesting new laptop from a form factor perspective, and from a design perspective, so definitely leave your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, get subscribed to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.